Hey, this is a Subspace Transmissions podcast. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Cam.
Cam, we just watched episode 6 of Star Trek Discovery, Lethe.
Yeah.
The question we come back to more and more is Sarek like the worst father in all of Star Trek? Does he have competition here?
He is worse than Gul Dukat.
Okay. What about Gul Dukat?
He's also far better than Sarek.
Okay.
You know,
fair enough.
Torres turned out just aces.
Well, look, this is a very Sarek-centric episode, but we have a lot of revelations to share with regards to what Sarek wanted to do with both his children, or at least
Right.
the two that we actually talk about.
The two he cares about.
Sybok does not matter, right, guys? But at this point, we find out that he actually gave up Burnham's spot in the Vulcan Expeditionary Group, Cam, as we call it, VEG.
Right.
And instead, he's like, no, I want my Spock to do it. We all know that Spock did not go forward with this. So where does that really leave Burnham at this point, Cam?
Adrift. Like, it just, you know, Star Trek has all sorts of father issues, and that extends to some of the creators behind Star Trek, quite vocally. And I think we're going to see a little bit of that from Burnham now, which I don't know if I expected when the series started. I really thought of, like, Sarek as more of a sort of strong mentor role than, like, a father figure she was fighting for the love of.
Okay. But we find by the end of the episode, it's very much Journey to Babel-esque, in which Sarek is holed up in his sickbay bed.
Right. He's always in bed.
He's always in
bed.
bed.
When is Sarek not in bed in a TV series?
That's a very good... When he's doing, like, Vulcan martial arts in his own brain... Do you think, okay, because it's his own brain, he's way better at Vulcan martial arts than we've been led to believe?
He's actually, like, terrible at it.
Yeah.
He did, like, one class at, like, a mall. It was like the one in, like, Napoleon Dynamite.
He's got, like, nunchucks that he's, like, keeps hitting in his eye.
That's why he's always in bed.
You got a point there.
That was just head damage from showing up in that episode, Sarek. Years of nunchuck damage.
The reason why his Kashra is in Burnham is because he keeps hitting his head on the nunchucks. So
yeah.
Anyway, by the end of the episode, he's not really talking to Burnham in that much detail about their big issue here.
He is known to not communicate well.
Well, that's like a thread that we see with Spock, and the fact that Sybok is essentially just some non-mentioned, child. It really tells us a lot about his history with his kids, and that these don't seem like great relationships that he's doing. He's kind of fascinated with these little experiments about trying to prove that humans could be equals to Vulcans, but it's taken a big toll on him personally.
What's weird is that he's apparently driven to introduce human elements into Vulcan society, and yet he always looked down at Spock for being half human.
Yeah,
what's with that? But he's married to a human.
It's through his own volition.
Okay, look, Sarek's a bad dad. Is he also just really messed up?
Well, we talked about it on the podcast this week, whether Sarek's kind of like a punk rock Vulcan, or if he's just real buttoned down. And it seems as if these little experiments that he's doing with humanity, he's probably a guy who rankles a lot of the Vulcan establishment at this point.
Right, yeah, definitely.
Well, why else would they not let both of these not quite Vulcans into the Vulcan Expeditionary Group? They are saying you can only have one.
Do you think they just don't like him that much?
Vulcans are emotionless, Cam.
But
maybe
we've seen many a times the Vulcans have sort of egos, or they seem a little snide towards one another.
Perhaps they just have skepticism towards these experiments here.
Right. Logically, he seems like a bad bet.
Okay.
Maybe.
Beyond Sarek, Cam, what did you make of the episode Lethe?
I thought it was alright. I like a lot of the sort of hangout factor we see. There's some really good Lorca stuff. I like what the episode is passing off in terms of its backstory and how it's fleshing out the characters. The execution, well, you have to listen to the podcast, but I wasn't crazy about it.
Okay. To me, it's the character moments that we had. I think we had more character moments here than any previous episode in which, whether you're running through corridors or hanging out... Learning curve from Star Trek Voyager. Probably one of the most milquetoast sorts of season finales you could ever hope for. Anyway, whether you're running through corridors or hanging out in the mess hall or just like in a sick bay, we actually got to take breathers with the characters, which is something that I think is very important for Star Trek. It's part of kind of the appeal that we have for the franchise, and we haven't really had that many moments so far in Star Trek Discovery.
Well, you're supposed to care about the crew and their camaraderie with one another, And so far, that's something that Discovery's been lacking on.
Yeah.
I've been more forgiving of it because the show's been fairly propulsive, so I'm not sitting there going like, boy, I'm watching these deadbeats just kind of stand around. You know, like imagine a season 1 like TNG episode where the characters didn't really like each other. That would be painful to watch.
It'd be like that dinner that Deanna Troi had with her mom in
Haven.
Haven, yeah. It'd be
without the gong.
Drunk Home?
Yeah. Take that away.
Drunk Home made that episode. He's
awesome. Yeah.
Okay. Overall, I think the Tilly Burnham character moments, they're really working for me right now, and I really buy them as this mentor-mentee sort of relationship that we're experiencing here.
Yeah. There's a lot of mentor-mentee stuff going on this show, because also you have like Lorca and Burnham as well. So, and then of course, Sarek and Burnham. So we're seeing elements of that in the show. I'm curious where it goes.
Cam, are fans going to have problems with this hologram simulator that we saw earlier on?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Would they?
All right. I'm going to... I go into more detail on the podcast, but I figure that the writers rationalized it in a way that actually makes a lot of sense. We also saw like hints of this in Star Trek the Animated Series, so I don't think it's out of this world that they could have similar technology.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm okay with it. There's other issues, I think, in the episode that bothered me more.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Guys, if you want to find out more, just go to our links to the podcast. Just find it below here in the description. Also go to subspace.com/subspacepod to find out more videos, more blogs, and even more podcast content, exclusive stuff. For now, we'll be back next week with more on Star Trek Discovery.